Hello guys, welcome to the fifth part of Vray Studio Lighting tutorial series created by www.renderray.com. After finishing the modelization of the studio, test render settings and HDRI, lighting setup, Vray physical cameras, we will work on the basic and the advanced Vray materials. And for our next tutorial, we will create a final render setup to make a realistic and professional render. With renderray.com, all these 3D scenes are free. If you like to, you can download these professional 3D scenes prepared with V-Ray, Brazil, Manta Ray, Final Render, etc. And nearly every day, RenderRay adds more and more free 3D scenes and tutorials to their website. To download the sample scene for this tutorial or to watch this video tutorial with high resolution, go to www.renderray.com. Okay, open RenderRay downloads V-Ray Studio Lighting Part 5 Start that you downloaded from RenderRay. For this lesson, as you see, we have no lights, just the HDRI that we assigned in our past tutorials. Go to our camera properties and change the F number to 4 to have our image brighter. Now simply click this icon to open our material editor. Go to the third slot and name it RenderRay Material and click this box and double click to V-Ray Material. Now it's assigned. Okay, I will introduce you the basic parameters. Under basic parameters, here is the diffuse color box. Diffuse is simply the color of our material. By default, it's gray, but let me change this to white and assign this diffuse material to our bare model. Click render. Okay, our polar bear is white. Now, next to the diffuse color, click this little box. Here in this window, we can assign bitmaps and procedural materials by double clicking them. I will show you the usage of procedural maps and creations of bitmaps with Photoshop in our future tutorials. Reflect is the reflection color of our object. Click this color area. There are millions of colors that you can choose to give reflection color to our object. Darker color means less reflections and lighter color means more reflections. With V-Ray, by using this little box near the reflect color, you can show the exact place where you want to put your reflections in our object by creating a bitmap with Photoshop. In this bitmap, lighter areas will be the reflective areas. Anyway, let's choose a gray color to see what happens. Click render. Right now, our model has some reflections, but the thing is, the reflections are coming from everywhere. That's why we don't catch the realism. To arrange that, we need to use a Fresnel reflections. Fresnel reflections is a phenomenon which gets its force from the viewing angle of the eyes. By using this method, you can create really nice materials like glass, ceramic, granite, etc. Okay, now let's check the Fresnel reflection and press render. Now it's much better. Okay, IOR means the index of refraction. I'm going to explain this feature under refraction in a couple of minutes. Under reflections, IOR is normally locked. If you want to unlock it to fine tune, it's okay, but in this chapter, you will not see a lot of difference by changing it. Highlight glossiness. Don't change this value to have more realistic result for your materials. Reflection glossiness is the control of the blurriness and the sharpness of the reflections. To make your material blurry and glossy, you have to use the lower values. The value 1 indicates that there is no glossiness. Let's give an amount of 0.4 to our material and click render. Okay, as you see, all the reflections become much glossier. Subdivision is to adjust the quality of glossy reflections. The higher values will cost time with better results. However, lower values will gain time, but the results will be noisier. Before changing the subdivision value to 20, check the render time of the rendered image. It's really not so much long. Now enter 20 as a subdivision and click render. Now, look at this rendering time. It's much more slower to render. Anyway, I will turn back to 8 to continue and change the glossy value back to 1. Use interpolation is to speed up the process for really glossy materials with high subdivisions. To understand how it works, play with parameters under reflect interpolation stack. Maximum depth, the higher value makes more accurate results. Don't change the value more than 10. Exit color. When the reflections reach its limit, this color will appear. Refraction. Refract is the opacity control to create materials like the crystals and stuff. And the refract color is the refraction color of our object. Like reflections, by clicking to this colored area, you can find millions of refraction colors that you can use. The darker color means less transparency, and sure, light color means more transparency. With Vray, by clicking this little box near the refract color, you can put the transparency where you want on your object by using bitmaps and procedural materials. Anyway, let's choose a light gray color and click render. As you see right now, we have a glassy crystal effect in our object. IOR means the index of refraction for the material. What it does is to change the optical value of the object material like an adjustable magnifying glass. The IR of a crystal is 2, or for glass it's 1.5. Glossiness is the control of the blurriness and the sharpness of the refractions. To make your materials blurry and glossy, you have to use the lower values. The value 1 indicates that there is no glossiness. Let's give an amount of 0.6 to our material and click render. Okay, as you see, all the refractions became much glossier. If you need to create matte glossy glass effect to make a test, use low values for subdivisions. And to finalize, adjust the quality of the glossy refractions by high subdivision values. The higher values will cost time with better results. Lower values will gain time, but the result will be noisier. Let's make a render with 20 and hit render. Now, it's much more clean. Use interpolation is to speed up the process for really glossy materials with high subdivisions. To understand how it works, play with parameters under refract interpolation stack. Affect shadows is to affect the shadows, as you guess. Effect alpha affects the alpha channel. Use it if there is no glassiness. Max depth, the higher value makes more accurate results. Don't change the value more than 10. Exit color. When the refraction reach its limit, this color will appear. Fog color is to simulate the object's look. Change the parameters to make the material less transparent or more transparent by using a colored fork inside the material. Fog multiplier is to multiply the strength of the fog effect. More values, more effect. Fog bias is to adjust the thickness of fog by using the form of the object. For instance, the legs of the polar bear is thin. That's why these parts are going to be more transparent. Okay, let me make a nice tea material. I will put this creamy color as a fog color and turn the glossiness to 1. Enter the value of 0.2 to the fog multiplier. I will higher the value of fog bias to 0.5 and click render. That's what I wanted. Now let's create a rubber material. Translucency is to do some rubber effects like subsurface scattering. You have to have the refractions on to use this option. Under type, currently there is no translucency. Click to wax model and press render. You see that we have a nice rubber effect. Now I will explain you how these parameters work. Translucency is to create subsurface scattering surfaces like wax, granite or skin. Hard wax model is specifically suited for hard materials like marble. We are not gonna need soft water model for this chapter. Backside color tints the fog color to create nice subsurface scattering effects. Light multiplier to multiply the translucent effect overall. Scatter coefficient determines how rays will move inside the object. The value of 0 means that rays can move to all directions without limit to make subsurface scattering effects. The value 1 means straight rays which cannot change the direction. Forward backward coefficient controls the subsurface scattering if it will appear at forward or backward of the object. Thickness is the thickness of subsurface scattering effect. Less value makes more hard materials. For example, let's make the thickness 100 and click render. Now our ruby material is much harder. Okay, I will save this scene as render downloads. Vray Studio Lighting part 5 finished. Next step, we will fine tune the render settings. So see you for our next tutorial.